Okay, workout ended literally an hour ago, but rather than just jumping straight in the car, had a little bit of a crew hanging out in there. That is a good situation to have. Honestly, I mean, you're still a baller. You go into your workout and leave, but if you got some dogs in there you can chat with post workout, just kind of chill, finish sipping on your cluster dextrin shake mixed with orange Gatorade. A bad situation. But I am freaking starving, which honestly is not a feeling I should be having. Considering I'm bulking up right now, I shouldn't feel hungry ever, just because I should be constantly full of food. So that is on me. I gotta up my calorie intake game. Make this the biggest bulk of all time. Which, historically, they have been. Each bulk has been better slash bigger than the one previous. But still, I'm not a total master of my body. And it's, eating is still definitely at the forefront of my main, let's just call it, challenges to make sure that I stay on track for some serious weight gaining. So going home tonight to a big ass family dinner. That's gonna do me well. Actually, by now it's probably in the fridge, but I'll just get everything back out and reheat it. That's another thing, which is probably just through the course of kind of becoming a more serious lifter. Let's say you're living with your, you don't even have to be a kid living with your family still. Just, your meals and your eating habits are going to change. And I think this kind of off-puts a lot of people from trying to get into the gym or like thinking about their diet, because they don't want to think about food as like fuel. Like, it's no fun for someone to think like, oh, well, I want to enjoy my food, I don't want to think about it as like numbers and stuff like that, which, valid point, but there's an equilibrium, I don't, look, I don't just see food and think 50 grams of carbs, 25 grams of fat. No, 50 grams of carbs, 15 grams of fat, 25 grams of protein. If you've got a good memory for numbers, that's the macros in a Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich. I don't just look at food like that. I still look at it and say, that's a nice treat. I'm fucking hungry for that. I'm going to enjoy that. But in the scheme of, in the grand scheme of dieting and, eating food for the purpose of how it's going to affect your body's composition, aka eat a little bit less to lose body fat. Obviously, this is in a lifting context, so eat a bit more to gain muscle and gain a little bit of body fat. That's just the nature of the beast. You can't really beat that phenomenon. But the action of doing that, it seems like a chore. It seems like, oh, I don't want to deal with that, So I think people kind of need to, let's say you're uninitiated, or somebody who's uninitiated. They shouldn't try to think about changing their diet as one of the first things that they're changing in their routine to get into the gym. The first thing you should be focused on, and this is me kind of just talking to the demographic of totally new lifters. And if you know a guy who's kind of like on the teetering on whether or not he's going to start lifting, maybe you can tell him some of this. But don't think that they have to jump straight to like tracking every macro and like every gram of protein and every little snack and like they don't have to optimize that yet. Before you've gotten into the gym at all, then what do you think you should change? You should just get in there, get comfortable with the space. So as a new lifter, I'm not going to tell somebody to start tracking their macros. I'm not going to tell them to, I might tell them to maybe try to eat a little bit more protein, just in general. Maybe drink a protein shake or something. Like, nothing crazy. But just get into the gym on a consistent basis. And that doesn't mean just, show up out of nowhere, right? You might not know what to do. So either, I feel like there's two scenarios, or maybe three. Two of them are pretty normal. One of them I think is maybe a little crazier. I think the two that are pretty normal for the beginner to get into the gym, they got some buddies who go, and they go with them. They kind of get taken under their wing. They get shown all sorts of stuff, right? I've done that before. I brought a crew into the gym, and we've all kind of followed the same written out routine, stuff like that. which is pretty easy because you kind of have like you kind of have somebody to show you what to do, give you a little bit of tips on like how to do things and what works, or maybe not even what works, but just like how to do it. Like do a curl like this, do a lat pull down like this, just random stuff like that. And to the complete beginner, that is very valuable. Or let's say you're going in solo, but you watch a ton of workout videos beforehand. And I mean, that's the best way to learn anything nowadays. Just look up a YouTube video on how to do it. So that's legit too. Now, the guy who's kind of crazy is the dude who just shows up in the gym and just starts doing whatever. Completely uninitiated, never touched a weight before, just copying everybody else. I guess maybe it's not that crazy, but I don't know if that's the best way to go about it, right? It's definitely in your best interest to kind of be mentored in a way to get a good starting, let's just call it a baseline of training. Now that could be from your buddies or just watching videos. And then after a while of that, like I feel like the first 3 months or so, maybe even shorter than that, it's almost like a litmus test for whether or not you're going to stick with it and you're actually going to go crazy, or if you're just going to be like, oh, this sucks, I'm not into this at all. Which, I'm not saying that's wrong. If it's not your thing, then whatever. But I'd say after 3 months of like consistent lifting, let's say you got somebody into it and they're actually going, however many days a week that their routine is on a consistent basis, no skipping, going hard, watching some Athlete X and just random bodybuilders workout videos that they like, and maybe they're getting into some real science with Renaissance periodization and fucking hell, why am I forgetting his name now? Yeah, whatever. But let's say you're getting into it. 3 months go by. Now, are you tired of it? You're just done. You don't want to do it, or are you legit? So let's say you're into it. I want to keep doing this for a very long time. This is scratching an itch that I've had, and this is perfect. This is my new thing. Maybe not forever, but let's just Jesus. It's too late to turn left on that red light. But let's say that's your thing. You've been lifting for a while. You want to make some legit progress. I feel like once you've kind of reached that point, then that's when you're actually going to start thinking, okay, I want some more results. You've kind of seen, honestly, a total beginner going from month 0 to the end of month 3, consistent hard training, you're going to look substantially different. I'm not saying like absolutely night and day, but you will have, changed the way you look to a degree which you'll actually notice in the before and after picture, at least assuming you've been going hard. And that tangible result will probably motivate you to want to look at your macros, to want to make sure you hit your protein every day so that you're getting enough amino acids into your system to, adequately recover the muscle you've broken down, or, make sure you hit enough calories to be in a surplus to actually gain weight. You're going to get a bathroom scale, hop on every morning, plug it into a Google Sheets, and like plot your weight changes over time, and like, oh crap, my weight's kind of plateaued, I guess I got to eat some more food, like stuff like that. So it's not like a prerequisite. It's not a prerequisite to actually getting into the gym, but I think once you're in there for long enough, it's just going to become something that you're going to want to do. If you get into any kind of freaking hobby, you don't want to just start with fucking beginner shit. If you want to learn how to play the guitar, you're probably not going to want to buy a $2,000 Gibson out of nowhere. You're probably going to buy a scrappy Stratocaster. I thought there was a deer in that. Well, you're probably going to buy a scrappy one, get started, and then once you're into it, then you're going to be like, okay, I want to put a lot more effort into this. I want to get real serious. So if you catch my drift there, that's kind of my, maybe let's just say, observation of how you'll sort of progress over time. You'll probably eventually get into like really fine details about sets and splits and whatever else, and seeing what works for you, and new whatever, right? Over time, you're going to want to improve your, let's, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not, maybe not stimulus, but let's just say over time, the more that you want results, the more you're going to try to optimize and improve your routine to get them, you know? So that's something that's just going to come with time. So maybe if you haven't really been focusing on tracking your macros, you might just kind of have to internalize somehow that doing all these little extra things outside of the gym play a major role on your performance in the gym. You know, if today I just woke up and maybe had some fucking Cheez-Its or something, or just ate random food, didn't even think about it, and then went to the gym, definitely didn't eat, like, let's say I didn't drink enough water, had no electrolytes, uh, I probably wouldn't have had as good of a lift as I did, right? Because instead of doing that, I made sure I had a ton of carbs, a good amount of protein from some eggs, a little bit of ground beef, a ton of electrolytes and water, very well hydrated and rested. Like, it's just gonna make sense. I said this a little while ago. Proper preparation prevents poor pumps. Now I stand behind that 100%, and that matters because in a progress context, the better workouts you're going to have, the better stimulation you're going to be putting on all your muscles all over the place. Then you go home and you get your ideally like 9 hours of sleep a night. That's a world I want to live in, where I can get 9 hours every night without fail. Let's just say I'm working on it. But, get my sleep, rest up, recover, wake up and do it again. And even though that process is monotonous, even though this is like a years upon years, honestly, probably multiple decades long thing, right? Even though it's the same shit every day, right? You're still working towards, I don't even want to say a greater end goal, but you're actually just making progress. Somebody who's trying to climb a mountain probably isn't complaining that he keeps, taking steps over and over and over again. Oh, I just keep taking these steps. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. Right? But over time, right, he's getting higher and higher up. So take with that what you will. I feel like I was getting a little gnarly with the metaphors, but it was good enough. So next quad day, or next leg day, I might back off a little bit depending on how they feel. And I think after I eat, I might do an Epsom salt bath. I forget what the chemical is, magnesium something, but that always makes me feel pretty good. So eat your food, enjoy your time off if you do have any time off. Train hard. There's nothing else to say. Oh, there is something else to say, but I won't say it. You already know. You already know what I'm going to say. All right, I'll see you next time.